Right here. There we go. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Of course, I am Carter Dotson. This is Benedict Fritz.
Hello.
And this is Gerald Kelly here. Gerald Kelly he's the artist on the game, and Benedict was a programmer, correct?
Yep.
And Benedict, this actually started off as a solo project for you, right?
Yeah, it did. It started probably April of last year, about. I had just finished making a short freeware game called Martian Middle School Dance, and
yeah, which is worth checking out. That game's actually on your. Is it on the web, I believe?
Yeah, it's on the web. If you just Google Martian Middle School Dance, you will find it, and you can experience that.
Well, what about all the confusion with other things about Martian Middle School dances, though?
Yeah, luckily there's not too much competition in that vertical.
No kidding.
But after completing that, I've been making games for about 3 years now. Yeah, about 3 years now. And after I finished that game, I felt like it had kind of been a very smooth process of creation. And I finally felt like I was at a point where I could make something with the intention of selling it. And so it started off as, I have, basically, like everyone, there is a subset of things in games that interest me. And with Martian Middle School Dance, that was kind of like my interests of humor and world and kind of telling stories. And that is kind of a harder thing to sell in terms of keeping a project reasonably scoped and that sort of thing. And so the other thing that I really enjoy is games that are about movement. And so that kind of led me down this path. I came up with a movement mechanic and then kind of layered the skiing on top of it. And it all kind of grew from there through a lot of different stages, which we can talk about if we want, but it's gone through a lot of changes, and this is very, very different from what it started off as, but...
yeah, I'd love to talk about that somewhat, but kind of get into the game as it is, now, which is releasing this Thursday. This is, when you check this out on Thursday, Wednesday night when it comes out, this is the App Store build. And now the levels, are they procedurally generated, or are they actually fixed?
I don't know if they fall into the realm of procedurally generated, but the way that it works is, yes, they are random. They're basically patterns within each section, and these patterns are then randomly arranged. So every time you're playing, you are getting a different order of these patterns, but it's not something where I'm saying, okay, put this tree here, that tree there, put a gate here, put a gate there. It's kind of like, okay, this small section has trees here, gates here, put that all in at one point, at one time, and kind of then deal with it as it comes at you.
It definitely helps you with mastering of the sections as well, because you've got visual tip-offs, so you can kind of see what's going to come up, instead of it just kind of plastering you in the face.
Yeah, and you can kind of, if you play enough, you can see the distinction of the different patterns, and where they begin and end, and the more you play, the more you kind of become accustomed to that.
And I'm kind of seeing maybe a few influences from other games. There's definitely, as you said, kind of Spelunky that you mentioned. You kind of also see it with like when you have the checkpoints.
Yeah.
You don't. That's definitely something I remember from Spelunky.
Yeah.
So I seem to be doing better at this game than Spelunky.
Yeah. Something we struggled with in the development was finding the right difficulty and finding the right interaction that people want to have with a phone game. So I don't know if you remember, but like originally there was this very, I don't know how to, but like kind of very weird movement mechanic where it was a one-button game, and when you
because I actually got to see this game way back in like the early stages of its existence.
Probably like early summer last year.
Yeah.
And so it was, like, it's even hard to explain verbally, which is probably a bad sign for a phone game. Basically, so you'd start off going straight. You tap down, and tapping down would make you gain velocity to the right. When you let go, you'd stop gaining velocity to the right, and you'd slide a little bit. Then when you tap down again, you'd begin gaining velocity to the left. And so if you were good at those controls, it felt amazing.
Yeah.
But in terms of teaching that to someone and having a visual communication of that mechanic that didn't become overbearing and kind of intrude on the world and everything else that's in the game, it became really hard. It's probably possible, and I kind of want to make a game that has that movement mechanic in the future, because I really like it, but we kind of came up against this wall of also then the visuals kind of suggest almost a gentleness, whereas one of the original influences was Super Hexagon, which is extremely brutal, but it looks extremely brutal, so someone picks it up and they're like, oh, like, I know this is going to kick my butt. Whereas they pick this up and they're like, oh, I love the art, I love the trees, I want to ski between them, and then it's like, no, here, deal with this control scheme, die.
There's just some dude skiing, like, and there's talking penguins,
And then it was just this brutal control scheme.
Oh, we have something here with a chopper.
Have you seen this?
I have, but I think our viewers haven't. This was honestly genuine. This was not. It's perfectly timed.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, this.
Oh, that was rough.
The toughest part that I saw about trying to get people into that one button mechanic was the first time that they would interact with it, they would just lay their thumb down and then they would go straight off the screen, and at that time going off the screen disqualified you. So it was like they were being punished for exploring it, essentially, which was really tough to kind of like encourage people to keep with it.
Yeah, and I think the point when I realized that the controls would have to change. Did you get it?
I did.
Oh my.
Oh man. Nice, man.